Am I the asshole for telling my brother that he has no idea what he's talking about because he isn't a parent? I, 26M, have 3 kids under 5, 4F, and 2M, with a 4th kid on its way. Before we had kids, my wife and I had lots of ideas about the parents we were going to be, and we had lots of scorn for people who parented in ways we disagreed with, but, as any parent knows, actually raising kids is hard work and you will break your values. My brother, 22M, is doing a psychology degree, with a few modules on child psychology and development. He regularly tells me that he thinks iPad kids are spoiled brats who will struggle developmentally and they are the spawn of lazy, negligent parents. I wouldn't say my kids are iPad kids, but they do have an iPad between the 3 of them and more screen time than I would ideally like, but sometimes themes the breaks. My brother also disapproves of the fact we give our kids sweets as bribes, occasionally, and have lied to our kids. Every time he tells me his views on parenting, I just laugh and tell him to try being a parent, then I'll take his advice. Recently, due to an emergency, my wife and I needed a babysitter for a whole day, so I called my brother because, despite his judgment, he is actually very good with our kids. When we got home in the evening, the kids were in bed having had dinner and we thanked him profusely. He very earnestly told us that, now he had experienced being a parent, he realized that not letting your kids use screens was very easy and they hadn't watched TV or used their iPad in the 12 hours he'd been there. He also said he'd calmed their fears. They had been aware of the emergency a little bit, read to them, not had to bribe them to do anything with sweets, and he'd dealt with very calm, relaxed children, as opposed to the brats they normally are when they're with me, his words. He gave us a 20-minute lecture about our bad parenting, and now that he was in a position to give advice, he was going to give it. We'd been planning on giving him £200 to thank him for doing this for us short notice and looking after the kids for so long, but we sent him on his way without any pay. The next day I called him up to tell him I thought his behavior was incredibly inappropriate, that I appreciated him looking after the kids, but it was better he didn't see them for a while, and that him springing that all on us, especially after a day of stress, showed how immature he really was. I told him that he actually didn't know anything about parenting because he wasn't a parent. I concede I may have gone too far, but my mom called me up later to tell me my brother was crying and she called me a dickhead because he was just trying to help, and apparently I'm a bad parent for dealing with people's kindness so rudely. My brother and parents are pissed off at me and not talking to me, so am I the asshole?